So before we even start talking about this Hasselblad 55mm lens, let me just show you some real world shots, what I've shot in last 15 days using just this single lens. So if you're planning to buy a Hasselblad X2D or X2D2, or you already have a X2D or X2D2, I would suggest this is the only lens you should start with. This is the only lens you should have probably if you don't have the budget to buy any more lens. I mean, this lens solves 90% of the problems, 90% of the focal lengths you are ever going to need. And in this video, we are going to discuss everything about it, like pros, cons, pricing, build quality, color science, bokeh effect, focusing distance, everything, sound, lift shutter, and why I think this is the perfect and the best lens to get for like landscape, travel, lifestyle, cars, bikes, automobiles, whatever you call about. You can just use this lens for each and every stuff. So make sure to watch this video till the end and we are going to discuss one by one. So very first thing is about the build quality. Like this lens is built like a tank, I would say. Like if you see from this, you can see that this is exactly the size of the lens. This is how it is, that's all. So even if I remove the lens hood, you can see that the lens is just this much. And the lens cap looks something like this. So this is how the lens looks like, and this is how the lens cap looks like. And this is all about the lens. This is what you get for the 55mm, and this is the lens hood, and it's completely made out of metal. The full lens, body, part, and the hood, everything is fully made out of metal, and the weight is hardly, I would say, I think 370 grams, which is nothing. Like 370 grams, if you are just pulling over every time you're getting some photos, it's like nothing. So just 370 grams. And build quality is, again, it's all about metal. Here you have the Hasselblad logo, here you have the Hasselblad logo, here it says XCD 55 lens, and this is the f2.5, and this one is the this is how you do for the manual focus and autofocus. This is right now more autofocus. So if you do it like this, it goes to manual focus. And there is one more over here which can be used as a custom button. For me, I have just configured this one as my ISO. So whenever I have to change the ISO, I just all have to do is just this, because in the settings what I have done is I have changed this custom settings to my ISO settings. So anytime I need to change my ISO, I can just do this and change the ISO, and it's all about H. The whole textured part is all about H. Everywhere it's written as H. And this one goes all the way from 2.5 all the way to f32. So this is how it says. If you see here at the front, you can see that this is how it says, and this is the autofocus and manual focus thing, and this is the custom button thing. Here you can see all the H buttons, and it says XCD 55, and it's fully metal. If you see this, it's fully metal. It just makes you feel like you are holding some Rolex watch, or maybe a Ferrari or a Porsche part, something like this. It just feels so good, and it's more like a luxury. More about the lens is all about, it's a piece of luxury, piece of art, I would say. And how about the pricing of this lens? It's kind of very expensive, close to $4,000. It's the lens price itself is more than the Sony or Canon flagship models body price alone. Like I believe Sony a7R5 or Sony a7 IV is somewhere close to $3,000 or $3,100. The lens, this lens alone is close to $4,000. So it's not cheap. Until unless you are actually making money using those gear, you cannot just invest so much of money on a lens, because the lens alone is $3,700, which is a lot of money. I believe in Dubai it's more expensive. In India it's much more expensive. In Hong Kong I paid somewhere close to, I believe, $3,900 or $4,000, almost exactly the same what you get in the US or Europe, something like this. Europe is, I guess, more expensive. US and Hong Kong price was almost the same, so I got it for somewhere around the same price. So pricing wise, it's expensive, it's not cheap, but yes, it's absolutely worth it. Once you get it and once you start getting the results, you will feel like every penny you have invested on this lens is totally worth it. Now about the focal length. The focal length of this, it says, is 55mm. 50mm is for the medium format, but when you because most of the people are coming from full format. I know, like for me, I came from Sony a7R5, that is a full format sensor, full sensor. So if you're coming from a full format sensor, then it's equivalent to 43mm. So don't take it like if the Sony full frame camera is 50mm, then this 55 will be much closer. No, it's not. This one is on a medium format sensor and Sony is on a full format sensor, full sensor. So full sensor 50mm is equal to, this 55mm is equal to actually 43mm ish, somewhere around, as compared to the Sony or Canon full frame 50mm. So Sony or Canon 50mm is actual 50mm, but this one 50mm on medium format, if you calculate as per the full format, it will be close to 43mm. About the aperture, it opens all the way to f2.5. Of course, it's not, it could have been much more wider aperture as well, because since it's so expensive, but f2.5 is great, absolutely amazing. I have been shooting since last 15 days and I can tell you it's absolutely amazing. After, like, my Sony main gear is 50mm f1.2, which is huge. The aperture is huge, it just opens very wide, but this one is almost 3 or 4 stops down, like 1.2, 1.4, 1.8, 2, 2.2, 2.5, close to 4 and 5 steps more for this. That open Sony 1.2 50mm 1.2 opens huge, fully wide. You get some creamy bokeh using this, but at the same time on medium format, f2.5 is almost close to, I would say, maybe Sony 1.4 or 1.8, I would say 1.4. So even if it's actually f2.5, but on real case scenarios, you're going to get somewhere close to f1.2, f1.4 kind of results whenever you're shooting in real-time photos, because I have already shot multiple photos, the same scene using a Sony 50mm 1.2 and using this Hasselblad 50mm 2.5, the results were almost identical, almost the same. Now about the image quality, sharpness is edge to edge sharp, complete edge to edge. You are going to get absolutely crisp, sharp images, and the color science, holy shit man, it's just so good. You don't even need to do any edits once you shoot some photos with this, because this camera doesn't do video, this only does photos. So once you start shooting with this, the kind of images you are going to get are absolutely stellar. I mean, edge to edge sharp, and the creamy bokeh, holy damn man. I mean, it's very difficult to explain unless you use it, but probably if you have already seen the images what I have just shared at the start of this video, you could have already made out how creamy, how soothing, and how perfect the images are right out of the camera. I mean, the images which I just was showing you at the start of this video, none of them have been edited at all. All of those images have been straight out of the camera, without any edits, and you can see those images straight up. It just looks so soothing, so sharp, and the bokeh is just. And one very advanced thing about this is the camera doesn't have a shutter. The shutter is actually on the lens. Yes, the lens comes with a leaf shutter. So basically, whenever you're clicking a photo, normally in the Sony or Canon, there is a shutter inside the shutter, something like this, it happens, and there is a photo gets clicked. But here, there is the shutter is actually inside the lens. So basically, lens is doing 60 to 70% of the work for building your photo, and the camera is only using the sensor and the processing power, that's all. Basically here the main job is getting done in the lens itself, and the lens does flash sync speeds up to 1/2000. So normally on Sony or Canon, whenever you're outdoors, it's very bright. You can even go up to like 1:8000 shutter speeds, but this one, the max shutter speed is going to be 1/2000 only. Now about the minimum focusing distance. Yes, minimum focusing distance, I would say I can just show it to you. So let's say if I'm switching it on, it's close to, I believe, 40 or 45 degrees. So let's say if I'm here and I'm trying to focus, it doesn't focus because I'm very close. So if I'm making it here, yes, now I can, yes, now I can focus. You can see that. Now let's say we'll just keep it here, and I'm going to focus it something like this. So let's say, yes, now you can see that. But if I'm getting very close, it doesn't focus because the minimum focusing distance is 45 centimeters. So I have to go here, here, here. Yes, see, now this is how much is the minimum focusing distance. This is right now at 45 centimeters far, and I can actually focus, and I just got the photo. You can see that the photo has been clicked and it's perfectly on focus. So basically the minimum focusing distance is around 45 centimeters. For the price paid, I was actually expecting it to have much more, get close, probably like maybe at least a macro, or probably even if not macro, at least like 20 or 25 centimeters or something like this. If I would hold something like this, I could have actually got the photo. But normally, since the focusing distance is close to 45 centimeters, whenever I have to get a photo, let's say a photo of the phone, then I have to do it something like this, and then only I can get the photo of it. I cannot just get it something like this because this is not a macro lens. I have to get it something like this, and that's when I can actually get the photo when we talk about the minimum focusing distance. Now, what are the good things? Best thing is it's completely made out of metal, and the kind of image quality it like does for the results, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely no regrets at all, even if you spend so much of money, and it just does everything whatever you need. And best, one of my personal favorite is this custom button. You can actually just configure anything you want to this custom button. For me, the custom button is ISO, and the AF and MF is just so easy to work with. You can see that, and basically there are no confusion, there are no extra buttons, nothing. It's just the AF, MF, and then there is the custom button, and that's all, nothing else. And it's fully made out of metal. It just makes you feel so good whenever you're holding the lens and actually getting a photo. It just makes you feel, I mean, from the inner piece you can actually get it, you can actually feel it. And now the bad parts about it. First, it's very expensive. $4,000 is actually a lot of money for a lens. Second, since you're already charging close to $4,000 for a lens, I mean, I was expecting at least f2, at least f1.8, like the aperture should have actually opened, but maybe since it's medium format, there are still some limitations. It's not very easy to get the aperture so wide open and let all the light in. So still f2.5 is great, but still, I mean, if I'm paying $4,000 for a lens, I'm normally always expecting more and more. Third thing what I did not like in this lens is the flash sync speeds is only up to 1/2000. Like the 90mm, you can go up to 1/4000 till shutter speed, the 90mm XCD same lens. But for this 55mm lens, the max flash speeds are only going to be 1/2000. So it's kind of tricky whenever you're getting some photos outside when the sun is very bright, somewhere near the beach or something like that. Whenever you're shooting, when the conditions are very bright, what happens is you have to go all the way to ISO 50, and even if it gets really bright, probably we will just have to let the photo happen, and maybe you have to go to the post and adjust the light, because there is no other way you can actually get the shutter speed more faster. But still you can actually do a workaround as well. You can put for ND filters like ND4 or maybe ND8, and then maybe you can get some photos. But again, that's some extra piece of work. So that's one thing what actually I did not like it. And I believe the third thing what I did not like is what I mean, I had actually written it a few points. Now, yes, the minimum focusing distance. Yes, the minimum focusing distance, like I have already shown you, it's close to 45 centimeters. But when I'm paying $4,000, I expect the minimum focusing distance to be like 20 or 25 centimeters at least. But the 45 centimeters at least is actually not making sense. But since that is what the limitation, you cannot do anything about it. But I mean, I expect whenever I'm paying $4,000, the minimum focusing distance has to be something very close. One more best thing what I liked about this is, let's say if I'm switching on the camera, you can absolutely like shoot photos with it like a stealth mode. Let me just show you. Whenever you're getting a photo, actually there is no sound. I can show it to you. That's all. Photo has already been clicked. If you see here, the photo has already been clicked, and you couldn't even figure out when the photo actually, it's more like a silent mode because the lens is very silent as compared to the 90mm. 90mm is very loud. Whenever you click a photo with 90mm, it does like something like this. But the 50mm, that's all. It's absolutely soundless. There is no sound. It's more like you're silent shooting. So that's all about this lens. I mean, if you're already having a Hasselblad, or if you're looking to buy a Hasselblad and confused about which lens to buy as your first lens, I would say XCD 55 has to be the best lens to be staying connected to your camera. I mean, even if I get some more lenses now, like the 90mm and maybe the 20-35 or maybe the 25mm, I will probably most of the time, 90% of the time, I'm going to just use this lens alone, because the lens is just so good. It normally covers everything what you, even if you need something wide, you can just go back. If you need something close, you can just get a bit close. But on the top of it, it's close to 100 megapixel. 100 megapixel is a lot of data. Even if you're getting a photo from a quite distant, you can still zoom it in, and probably you can get the photo still at somewhere around 5,000 pixels or like 3,000 pixels, which is huge, not a small task. So yes, that's why it makes sense to have the 55mm as your main lens on your Hasselblad. If you've got any question, let me know in the comments. Probably once my 90mm arrives, then maybe I can make a video about the 90mm as well. For now, I mean, even if I am not getting that, because 90mm is out of stock everywhere in the world, so I'm just trying to range it. So once I get it, probably I'll make a video. If not, I'm pretty much happy about just staying with this single lens, because whenever you are having multiple lenses, there is again one extra problem of like constantly changing the lenses, constantly deciding which lens to use. But when you have just one lens, you don't have to make any decision. All you can do is just get the photo, and on the post maybe you can just go ahead and zoom in.